Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Kraken Power Podcast. We're your hosts, Josko and Brandon, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how not to ruin your progress over the holidays. And we're going to give you 5 actionable items that you can do to not end up being like one of those North Americans who gains 5, 10, or 15 pounds throughout the holidays. Let's roll the intro.
Welcome back to the Kraken Power Podcast.
So everyone can relate to this because this happens every single year. The holidays are here. Obviously, it's a happy time. Everyone wants to get together with their family. Everyone wants to celebrate. But everyone knows that this is a time of the year which is hard to stay on your goals. And inevitably, a lot of people end up putting on a lot of weight because of the festivities, the extra food, you being off of work, and you having less structure in your life. So this is what leads to a lot of people, falling off the train and becoming one of those New Year's resolutioners where like mid-January, you're looking around and being like, what has just happened? It was only like 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was, getting really good progress in the gym and completely fell off, and I'm looking for a complete new start. So in this video, in this episode today, we're going to teach you 5 actionable items to stay on track and make sure you're mitigating all those losses that you would normally have. So I'm going to bring up number 1. So number 1, this is going to be a simple one, right? We want to start off nice and easy. And number 1 is going to be making sure that you are incorporating fitness into your holiday activities. And we're not just saying like, okay, yeah, you're going to go outside and you're going to swing kettlebells in the snow, right? We're saying, hey, you're going to be doing already like a lot of Christmas activities. Like one really easy way to incorporate in your walks is going out for a walk with the family and watching Christmas lights. That way, you can enjoy the Christmas holidays, the festivities with everyone, and you're still getting in those steps.
So in the past, what I would do is I would say like, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And this time for sure, I'm not going to gain any weight or anything like that. And then what would end up happening is I don't work out for 2 days and 3 days. And then I'm like, screw it. And then it ends up just, I end up not working out at all. And then I end up gaining a bunch of weight. So that's what happens to me. And it's because like I've set such a high bar for myself. And then when I can't do it, I have like this fuck it mentality. And I know that a lot of people can relate to that as well because, everybody always thinks that they can do so much, and then when it comes down to it, it's like they realize just how hard it actually is to just continue working out at the same rate or like continue dieting at the same rate. And that's why with our clients, we actually backtrack a little bit throughout the holidays and we say, hey, we're not going to be going into fat loss phases right now. Like it's a bad idea. Even though some clients go like, no, I'm going to keep doing it. It's like, no, just give yourself a little bit of a break. And so still continue exercising, but don't go like completely, don't think that you're going to be exercising at the same capacity as you were throughout the entire year,
Yeah, and the easiest way to do that is just sprinkle in activities throughout the day. Like most people are off, but like say it's like snowing outside, like you shoveling snow for an hour is definitely a really good way to get up your NEAT. It's definitely a way you can like strengthen your back and your leg muscles while being very productive at the same time. Just being able to go and, sled in the snow with your kids or build snowman and stuff like that, you're doing exercise realistically. So if you can kind of plan those things in your day rather than just sitting on the couch drinking eggnog and watching football, you're still going to get some kind of gains or at least mitigate all the extra food and calories that you're going to usually have.
Yeah, for sure. And then also sprinkle in some real workouts in there. Maybe you're not going to work out on Christmas Eve, but Boxing Day, plan for a morning workout, even though you have the day off, go to the gym, like get a good workout, use up all those calories, and therefore you're going to still keep the ball rolling throughout the entire holidays, as opposed to just going to nothing.
So one could say, don't let your bad habits snowball.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So if we're moving on to number 2, you've kind of touched base on this a little bit, but number 2 is going to be making sure you're planning your meals ahead of time. And now what we mean by this is when your big dinners are going to be happening, right? So give yourself some leeway. Like Christmas Day, you're going to have a huge dinner. Typically with most families, you get together, you have like the big, roast beef, you have the ham, you have the gravy, you have the potatoes and everything, right? But in the morning, you have a little bit more free time and you have time to actually schedule things yourself. So this is when you can front load your day with protein. You can make sure that you're still making sure you're mitigating a lot of the calories you're going to get later in the day. by not overloading yourself throughout.
Yeah, exactly. So if you know that you're having a really big meal that day, there you should be cutting back throughout the day, coming up to that big meal. So that's something that I incorporate a lot as well. And then also, if you overate significantly on one day, you can undereat the next day as well. So, and I'm not saying starve yourself or anything, but you're probably going to wake up, you're not going to be that hungry because you ate so much. Just skip breakfast. You're not that hungry, so why should you be shoveling food into your face the first thing in the morning after having a massive meal the night before? And so just making sure that you bring down calories so that you can have more calories
later on in the
evening. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. And then hopefully this podcast hits your ears by early December, because what we do with a lot of our clients here is we actually bring all of our clients out of their fat loss phase just momentarily, and to give them a little bit more flexibility, because we know that's going to happen. But week after week, what we're trying to do with our clients is give them a little bit more calories each and every week, just kind of like progressive training in the gym. You're kind of feeding your metabolism over time, like every week adding like 100 to 200 more calories. So by the time you actually reach the holiday week, right, your body is acclimated slowly over time to eating more and more calories rather than having a big jump on the big holidays themselves.
Yeah, like a lot of people, they end up wanting to do a fat loss phase or something right before the holidays. They're like eating 1,200 calories so that they can fit in a dress for New Year's and things like that. And then they end up like December 24th all the way to New Year's just gorging on food and then gaining a bunch of weight and not being able to fit in the dress anyway. But if you had a plan where you were eating more and more and more, then by then you probably wouldn't have gained so much weight because your body's just accustomed to it. But the very next one is actually managing alcohol consumption, which is very important as well. So I don't drink any alcohol whatsoever, and I don't feel like there's a need to, especially even during the holidays. But it is something that's going to affect you a lot, like especially if you're having a massive meal and then you're also having some wine and maybe some beers, then obviously you're going to be gaining weight, obviously. So bringing down alcohol consumption and just being wary of that, to sticking to maybe maximum 1 to 2 drinks in an evening would be ideal, but actually even more ideal than that would be to just go down to 0.
And say you are going to indulge in a few drinks, we do have a few strategies in which you can kind of, again, mitigate some of progress loss. So one of them could be, have your alcoholic drinks a little bit earlier in the day. If you're going to do that, you're going to not affect your sleep as much. That's also going to give you a little bit more time to hydrate throughout the day. And also what we always recommend to all of our clients is the days after you binging or drinking any kind of alcohol, you're making sure you're flushing all of that out by hydrating, for the days to come. Because, I've seen my Oura Ring stats and my HRV doesn't quite reach those optimal levels at which it normally is for at least like another week or two. And so we're making sure that we're doing some kind of like hydration protocol after to make sure we're bringing that faster back up to pace.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's not that like getting drunk is the reason why you're gaining a bunch of weight. It's because you've been drinking all throughout the entire holidays. So picking and choosing which days you're going to actually drink, and making sure that on those days that you keep the alcohol at a reasonable level,
Yeah, that's a good point. So it is like, yeah, you're drinking many consecutive days in a row, but it's also the choices you make when you've had a few drinks too, right? So
yeah, totally.
So I like to, if I'm going to drink, I'm like, okay, it's only going to be like Christmas. It's only going to be New Year's kind of Eve. And then it's limiting the amount rather than being like, I drank yesterday. Okay, I might as well have another one today.
But also, just going back onto the other point that you made, that you have to be careful with your sleep as well, because if you're feeling hungover in the morning, most likely you're going to be right away looking for something like fatty and salty as soon as you wake up, because you're trying to hydrate and you're trying to get calories in. And so salt is the best way to do it. And so that's why people tend to like want to snack on things that are salty. And then you end up having just like another dinner for the morning.
Yeah, another dinner at like 11 or like 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, or like you just when you wake up in the morning too, just having like leftovers. Eggs and like just salty foods in the morning, leftovers, exactly. But so that's another reason why you want to cut down the alcohol consumption. It does make you eat a little bit more. But then number 4 is just making sure that you're staying consistent throughout the holiday. Just not forgetting about your goals is massive, right? So a lot of people like, it's, yeah, sure, you've done such a great job throughout the entire year, but you can easily ruin months of progress in just a couple weeks, easily. And just going back and just remembering like, hey, why am I doing this? And just staying consistent throughout it. And then, maybe one day you step on the scale throughout the holidays. Like, let's say December 26th comes along, you step on the scale and you're like, holy crap, I gained 3 pounds. Like, you should be looking yourself in the mirror and being like, no, I'm going to dial it back a little bit over the next couple days and just get back into it,
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there with like stepping on the scale. And all we really ask our clients to do is track to some extent. So we're not asking our clients to track their macros, their calories, proteins, carbs, and fats throughout the entire holidays, right? At like a bare minimum, what you can do to track is just step on the scale every morning. Because you doing that, you're going to have your own initial and internal reaction to the past night's activities and what your choices that you made. And that will hopefully help shape the ones that you're going to do the next day. However, if you are like a lot of people and you step on the scale at the beginning of the month and then you step on the scale halfway into January, sometimes, or not sometimes, a lot of people are going to be very shocked at what happened. And you don't have that leeway, or you don't have that time for intervention to correct those things for the next day if you do it in that circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you can track something, just track it. Like, whether it's your weight, whether it's maybe even tracking your food on most of the days and just skipping a couple. Like, if you can track it, just do it. And if it's not like that burdensome for you, but you should always just be tracking something to some capacity. And so the easiest thing to do is just track your weight. And it's going to be the thing that's going to just ground you, be like, put you back into reality every single day and be like, okay, so this is the damage I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. And I think that during this period, I think like maintenance should be considered like a win, right? Like, if you're stepping on the scale and you're tracking something, like, don't be down on yourself if your like weight is maintaining, or you go up maybe like 1 pound, right, the next day. It's like, that's a win. If you get through the holidays and you gained maybe like 1 pound and you were able to completely enjoy yourself and you weren't able to limit yourself and you were still able to maintain that, and now you're like switched on where you can conquer things early January, that's a huge win for our clients, a huge win that you can take home at the end of it all too.
So the last one here is still go to the gym, but I feel like we like talked about that at the very beginning. So do you want to just make it like how you should design your meals?
Yeah, we could do that. Didn't we do plan meals ahead of time or anything?
I know, but this one would be more like specific to like the meal design, like itself, like how to eat when you're on those days. Like, I guess it's kind of similar, but like, I mean, like the actual meal itself.
Yeah.
Like saying like, oh, and then so now finally we're going to talk about how you should be going about those meals out with your friends and people's houses and things like that.
Yep.
So in this very last one, we're going to be talking about how you should be designing your meals, like the actual meal itself when you're going out. And I think this is going to be probably the most important thing for a lot of people, is because people end up just overdoing it, so simply put, right? And so the best way that I found designing my meals is just to pick my favorite foods. Don't have anything I don't like, as crazy as that sounds. Like, I'm not gonna, like, just because there's bread, I'm not gonna eat bread, because I can eat bread every single day of the year. If there's things that I can have like basically throughout the year, I'm not gonna eat it. Anything that's fun and everything will be on my plate, but also I'm going to stick to the proteins. So I'm gonna have a big portion of protein because I know that's gonna make me feel full. That's gonna be good for obviously like muscle growth and things like that as well. But then I'm gonna skip the veggies completely, and I'm gonna have just like my favorite foods and just a little bit of them. So that's personally what I do, and I find that it works really well for me because it just hits the spot. The entire meal hits the spot for me. So that's my go-to.
Yeah, I always say that Thanksgiving and Christmas Day dinners are ones that you can totally do clean. Like, it's not so much like sure, there's lots of things available, but if you are able to choose exactly what is like high in protein, a little bit lower in calories, or at least nutrient dense, they are readily available in all of those dinners.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they're devoid of that and it's like, oh, there's nothing else I can eat. There's only like Brussels sprouts here. It's like there's usually like turkey. There's usually some kind of ham. There's usually some kind of like roast beef, right? Where that's very high in protein and very nutrient dense that you can focus most of your meal on.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there, always keep in mind that there's dessert coming up, always. And if you're somebody who has a sweet tooth and you're gonna end up eating it, then just make sure that you're planning your meal with that in mind. That if you're going to eat it, then have a smaller meal so that you can have a little bit more dessert, right? And as you can tell, like we're not telling you to just completely stay strict and just like chicken and broccoli, bring your own food, right? You have to enjoy your holidays, but at the same time, just don't let it completely consume you and then ruin all your progress. So that's the key takeaway. And every single year that I've implemented this strategy, I've come out of it not gaining any weight whatsoever. And then there were years in the past for me where I've gained like literally 10 pounds over the holiday just because I had like a fuck it mentality. So hopefully these strategies are going to help you out for these holidays. And do you have anything else you want to add in, Brandon?
Yeah, just to add, it's like just remember, fruitcake sucks.
Yeah,
it's not worth ruining your goals over.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything
the fruitcake sucks. That's why everyone gives it to another person when you get it.
Yeah,
It's not worth it.
Yeah, and then also the same thing with like little chocolates and stuff is just not worth it either. Yeah. Especially since you can just sit there and eat like 20 Purdy's chocolates, and you're looking at the box after, and you're like, holy crap, 4,000 calories. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a great holiday season and indulge, but not too much. All right, we'll see you.